Respected Maulana, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Tonight, I wish to congratulate you all on this blessed occasion as we celebrate the great saviors of Islam, starting with the leader of the youth of paradise, Sayyid Shuhada Abu Abdullah Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. His brother Hadrat Abbas alayhi salam. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And Imam Sajjad Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali. Whether it be through Imam Hussain and Hadrat Abbas's noble sacrifices on the plains of Karbala, or Imam Sajjad's relentless efforts to propagate the universal message of his father afterwards, we, the followers and the lovers of Ahlul Bayt, are forever in their debt. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, we have a wonderful program tonight, which will begin with the recitation of the Noble Quran, Surah number 76, Surah Al-Insan, ayah number 1 through 10, by Brother Muhammad Zaidi. This will be followed by two short speeches. The first will be by Brother Razi Hussein on the life of Hadrat Abbas, and the second by Sister Sabika Musabji on the life of Imam Hussain. We will then have two Manqabats recited by Brother Rehan Girniwala and Brother Muazzim Naqvi. We will then have a presentation by Brother Minhaj Arastu on the Unity Academy. Tonight's lecture, inshallah, will be addressed by our very own Hujjatul Islam, Shaykh Amir Mukhtar Faezi Sahab, and we will culminate our program with ziyarat, followed by dinner downstairs in the banquet hall at 8 p.m. As we look to begin our program tonight, these speeches and poems remind us that Imam Hussain sacrificed his life at the altar of truth, and that this message is one that transcends any one sect or religion, but rather is a universal message for all humankind. Please join me now in welcoming Brother Muhammad Zaidi for the recitation of the Noble Quran with a loud salawat.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Hal ata 'alal الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه فجعلناه سميعا بصيرا إنا هديناه السبيل إنا هديناه السبيل إما شاكرا وإما كفورا إنا أعتدنا للكافرين سلاسل وأغلالا وسعيرا إن الأبرار يشربون من كأس كان مزاجها كافورا عينا يشرب بها عباد الله يفجرونها تفجيرا إن الأبرار يشربون من كأس كان مزاجها كافورا عينا يشرب بها عباد الله يفجرونها تفجيرا يوفون بالنذر يوفون بالنذر يوفون بالنذر ويخافون يوما كان شره مستتيرا ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما وأسيرا إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا إنا نخاف من ربنا إنا نخاف من ربنا يوما عبوسا قمطريرا صدق الله العلي العظيم.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah Muhammad. That was a beautiful, wonderful recitation for Sayyid Muhammad Haidar Zaidi's Sehet and Salamti and Khair Barakat, for him, his parents and his teachers. Let us all recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Next we have a speech Please join me now in welcoming Brother Razi Hussein to come forward at this time with a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I would like to congratulate all of you on this auspicious occasion where today we are celebrating the birth anniversaries of our third Imam, Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Allahumma salli. And our fourth Imam, Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. And Hadrat Abbas ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. It is narrated in the ziyarah of Hadrat Abbas alayhi salam from the Mafatih al-Janan that Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam testifies to four important qualities of Hadrat Abbas alayhi salam. Ashhadu laka bit-taslim والتصديق والوفاء والنصيحة لخلف النبي. I bear witness to your submission, your confirmation of truth, your unwavering loyalty, and your sincere counsel to the successor of the Prophet. These are the qualities that Imam Jafar as-Sadiq specifically used to define Hadrat Abbas alayhi salam. But they are not just for him. They are for us as well. If Hadrat Abbas embodied these qualities for his Imam, Imam Hussain alayhi salam, then we must ask, how do we embody these for Imam Mahdi Ajjallahu Ta'ala Faraj al-Sharif? We're gonna work through the four qualities of Hadrat Abbas, starting with taslim, meaning obedience or submission. Abbas alayhi salam never questioned his Imam's commands. He followed without hesitation. When Imam Hussein ordered patience, he remained patient. When Imam Hussein sent him for water, he got the water. And even when he longed to fight, he did not draw his sword until Imam Hussein alayhi salam allowed it. His will was not of his own, rather it was his Imam's. Secondly, tasdiq, confirmation of truth. Abbas alayhi salam never doubted Hussein, even when the world, the entire Muslim ummah, stood against him. The enemy offered him safety if he abandoned his Imam, but he refused. He did not need any proof. He did not wait for reassurance. He knew his Imam was haqq, and that was enough for him. Now third is his wafa, his unshakable loyalty to the Imam. What greater proof of loyalty exists than Abbas alayhi salam at the river of Furat? The water was in his hands, his lips were dry, his body weak, but he cast the water back into the river, saying, Ya nafsu ba'da al-Hussein huni. O soul, after Hussein there is no worth in your existence. He would not drink while Imam Hussain alayhi salam and Sakina were thirsty. Loyalty is not in words, it is sacrifice. Abbas alayhi salam gave everything and still wished that he could give more. Now finally, nasiha, sincere counsel. Abbas alayhi salam was not just a soldier, he was a guardian, an advisor, a protector of his Imam's mission. He did not simply stand beside Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he ensured that the message of Imam Hussain was carried out forward. Now we must ask ourselves, do we shape our lives according to our Imam, Imam al-Mahdi's mission? Do we submit to his teachings, or do we follow only when it's convenient? Do we confirm our Imam's truth through our actions? What about our loyalty? Do we prioritize his cause over our comfort? Do we remain steadfast when standing with him becomes difficult? Abbas alayhi salam proved his loyalty at every moment. How do we prove ours? Waiting is not enough. We must prepare. We must educate ourselves, strengthen our faith, uphold justice, and be active in spreading his message. To be his follower is not to wait in silence, it is to act in preparation. Abbas alayhi salam did not live for himself, he lived for his Imam. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Jazakallah Razi, that was a very eloquent and well-researched speech and a wonderful reminder of those attributes for all of us. For his Sahat and Salamti and Khair al-Barakat, let us all recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Our next speaker is Sister Sabika Musabji. I would kindly like to request if she could please come forward at this time for her speech. Let's welcome her with a loud salawat.
Please recite a loud salawat. Respected scholars, brothers, sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Imam Hussain alayhi salam is recognized as one of the greatest representations of bravery, selflessness, and dedication to justice. From a young age, Imam Hussain was deeply influenced by the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His family and his father, Imam Ali alayhi salam. His piety, wisdom, and compassion were evident in all aspects of his life. Through the manners of Imam Hussain came the personality of the Prophet. The Prophet said, "Hussein is from me, and I am from Hussein." This past winter break, I was blessed to be able to go on my first ziyarat in Iraq. While I was there, I saw beautiful masajid, shrines, and historical places I've always listened and learned about. One memorable time while I was there was waking up for Fajr and sitting in the shrine of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. While my sister, mother, and I made our way into the shrine and found a place to pray, I looked around to see the beauty, but not only the beauty in the walls of the shrine itself, but the beauty in the birds flying freely in the shrine, people giving their salams to the Imam and those they knew, and the echoes of du'as and Quran recitation. The most beautiful remark was when I sat and felt the peace and calmness washing over me while listening to the Fajr Adhan. When I listened to the first Allahu Akbar. I want to connect this to a short story my father told me not too long ago about Imam Hussain alayhi salam and his first words. Shaykh Muhammad Ali Shamali has related two narrations regarding the story, one from Imam Bakr alayhi salam and one from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Shaykh Abbas Qummi has also related this story. One day, the Prophet made his way to the masjid with Imam Hussain on his shoulders. The Prophet stood to lead salat with Imam Hussain on his right. Even though Imam Hussain couldn't speak at the time, he still loved salat, especially with his grandfather. We know to start salat, we must say the words Allahu Akbar, better known as Takbiratul Ihram. So when the Prophet said this, Imam Hussain repeated, although he didn't say it perfectly. Rasulullah repeated this Allahu Akbar 7 times, and at the 7th time, Imam Hussain said it perfectly. As we know in fiqh, it is recommended when you start salat that you say Allahu Akbar 7 times, the 7th time being Takbiratul Ihram. In today's society, we are so grateful to have such great role models in our history and in our lives. Imam Hussain is one of them. His representation teaches us so much, but how we take those inspirations and apply them to our daily lives is how we show true progress and how we can reform our souls while we wait for the day of judgment. Many can ask how and ask if they're doing enough or not enough. How can we take teachings and implement them into humanity today? How can we better ourselves? There could be so many answers. But after thinking about the importance of that story, however, I found an important lesson within it. The purpose of repetition. One of the most powerful ways Imam Hussein's teachings can guide us is through the repetition of practice, repeating acts of justice, integrity, and piety. Each time we advocate for what is right, and each time we hold on to our values, even in the face of hardship, we embody Imam Hussein's spirit. Imam Hussain didn't just fight on the battlefield. His true struggle was the betterment of the soul. It was the repetition of his practices, his constant commitment to the truth, his strength in standing, and his devotion to God Almighty. That makes his example so powerful. Through the repetition of small daily acts, whether it be in our prayers, in our interactions with others, or the simple act of showing kindness, we can follow these footsteps of Imam Hussain. These acts of practice, repeated with sincerity and devotion, have the potential to transform not only our own lives, but the world around us. Let's take the inspiration from Imam Hussein's example, and with each repeated act of goodness, strive to build a more just, compassionate, and truthful world. Salawat.
Sabika, thank you so much. That was a wonderful speech and a wonderful reminder of the power and the impact of repetition of our good deeds. For Sabika, sehat and salamti, khair barakat, for her parents, for her teachers, let us all recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, inshallah, we will now move on to our next two manqabats. Please join me in welcoming Brother Rehan Girniwala to the podium with a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. I would like to congratulate all of you on this wonderful event. Inshallah, I'll be reciting two manqabats today. Bar Muhammad wa ala Muhammad salawat. Please recite one more last salawat. میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین، میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین، میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین، سب کا ہو مرحبا یا حسین، میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین، سب کا ہو مرحبا یا حسین، اس کی نسل میں غیرت رہے گی جس نے کہا یا حسین، میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین، میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین، میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین، سب کا ہو مرحبا یا حسین، کس نور کی آمد ہوئی سجدے میں فاطمہ، ہر دور کے یزید کا ہونے لگا خاتمہ، کرب و بلا سے آواز آئی لو آ گیا یا حسین، میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین، میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین، میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین، سب کا ہو مرحبا یا حسین، مصروف ہوں غرور میں اب کوئی بھی ڈر نہیں، فطر اس کا تو سردار ہے، اڑنے میں ہم سر نہیں، جبریل دیکھو میرے پروں پر اب ہے لکھا یا حسین میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین سب کہو مرحبا یا حسین اس کی نسل میں غیرت رہے گی جس نے کہا یا حسین میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین تقدیر نے کروٹ ہلی بس ایک ہی رات میں ایمان کا سورج طلوع پھر ہو گیا ذات میں خیمے کے در پر سر کو جھکا کر حر نے کہا یا حسین میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین سب کہو مرحبا یا حسین اس کی نسل میں غیرت رہے گی جس نے کہا یا حسین میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین میرے دل کی صدا یا حسین سب کہو مرحبا یا حسین رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے دیکھ تو اے واسطہ منگ لے دعا رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے دیکھ تو اے واسطہ منگ لے دعا رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے یا رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے میرے نصیبہ وچ لکھی نہیں اولاد کی تھی حسین میری چولی آباد میرے نصیبہ وچ لکھی نہیں اولاد کی تھی حسین میری چولی آباد ست پتر دے آکے آ راہب تجا رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے دیکھ تو اے واسطہ منگ لے دعا رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے رب جانتے حسین جانے پر محمد وآل محمد پر انتہی صلوات
MashaAllah, Rehan. That was a wonderful, wonderful, heartfelt recitation for his Sehet and Salamti, for his parents. Let us all recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Before I request Brother Muazzim for our next recitation, I did want to take a moment to recognize these youth. Muhammad, Razi, Sabika, Rehan are the children of this very community, who we've all had the pleasure of seeing them grow and cultivate their talents with the help of their parents and teachers, many of whom are all with us here tonight. We are all incredibly proud of these youth, and we wish them continued success. Let us recite one more salawat for them. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Please now join me in welcoming Brother Muazzim Naqvi to the podium for his Manqabat with a very loud salawat.
اور محمد و آل محمد بلندتر صلوات. آج کے دن کی مبارکباد آپ لوگ تمام لوگوں کو پیش کرتا ہوں اور مولا حسین کا کلام آپ لوگوں کی سماعتوں کی نظر کرتا چلوں بآواز بلندتر صلوات. میرا حسین باغ نبوت کا پھول ہے، میرا حسین باغ نبوت کا پھول ہے، میرا حسین باغ نبوت کا پھول ہے، حیدر کی اس میں جان ہے، خون بطول ہے، میرا حسین باغ نبوت کا پھول ہے، ایسی عظیم ذات ہے مولا حسین کی، ایسی عظیم ذات ہے مولا حسین کی، جس کے لیے رسول کے سجدوں میں طول ہے، جس کے لیے رسول کے سجدوں میں طول ہے، میرا حسین باغ نبوت کا پھول ہے. اور قرآن اور مولا حسین کا کیا تعلق ہے، شعر پیش کر رہا ہوں. میرا حسین صدق و وفا کی کتاب ہے، میرا حسین صدق و وفا کی کتاب ہے، اور قرآن اس کتاب کا شان نزول ہے، اور قرآن اس کتاب کا شان نزول ہے، حسین باغ نبوت کا پھول ہے. حسین وہ جسے خلد سے ملا جوڑا, حسین کا خدا نے بھی دل نہیں توڑا. نبی کے کاندھے پہ چڑھ کے حسین نے راز جدھر کو چاہا ادھر کائنات کا رخ موڑا. دنیا میں اور کون ہے شبیر کے سوا, دنیا میں اور کون ہے شبیر کے سوا. ایسا سوار جس کی سواری رسول ہے, ایسا سوار جس کی سواری رسول ہے. میرا حسین باغ نبوت کا پھول ہے. اور مولا کی بارگاہ میں دعا کرتے ہوئے شعر پیش کر رہا ہوں. تو ان کے در سے مانگ لے جو کچھ بھی تیرا جی کرے, تو ان کے در سے مانگ لے جو کچھ بھی تیرا جی کرے. مالک کل جہان کی آلے رسول ہے, مالک کل جہان کی آلے رسول ہے. میرا حسین باغ نبوت کا پھول ہے. خوشیاں سبھی نثار ہے اس پر جان کی, خوشیاں سبھی نثار ہے اس پر جان کی. جس کو غم حسین میں رونا قبول ہے, جس کو غم حسین میں رونا قبول ہے. میرا حسین باغ نبوت کا پھول ہے. بر محمد والے محمد بلند صلوات.
Muslim Bhai, mashallah, that was such a heartfelt recitation. I don't think it would be remiss of me to say that you have a special place in all of our hearts. For his Sayyid and Salamti, for his family, let us all recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, please join me now in welcoming Brother Minhaj Arastu to the front for his presentation regarding the Unity Academy with a loud salawat.
Can I have a hand mic too? So all you gotta do is just slide it this way.
issue is it might interfere. So I'm just going to turn this one off then. Would you be able to handle both?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And may Allah bless the entire gathering today for the celebration of Imam Hussain, Imam Sajjad, and Hadrat Abbas alayhim salam. In what will hopefully be an annual presentation, I'm honored to share some of the work that we've been doing next door at Unity Academy over the last 4 years. As all of you know, Unity Academy is a full-time Islamic school serving children ages 3 to 12. It was founded under the guidance, the continuous guidance of Maulana Faezi, and we currently have 75 children who are in 3 different Montessori programs. The primary program, which is for children of ages 3 to 6, the lower elementary program, which is for children of ages 6 to 9, and the upper elementary program, which is for children ages 9 to 12. We're adding 1 age grade each year, and inshallah we have plans for an additional building within 18 months to 2 years. So let's have a look inside Unity Academy, and to do that, I'd like to start with a big picture. Allah has created this magnificent insect, and to understand it a little bit better, I'm going to ask for 2 volunteers from our school. The first one is Jafar. Okay, there was a red ball, there it is, okay, thank you so much. Okay, Jafar, I want you to stand on this side. The dragonfly is an insect that has a superpower. It's able to catch its prey in mid-flight, and it has the ability to track it. Let's see if Jafar, who's a very hungry dragonfly, can capture his prey today. All right, well done, Jafar. You get 1 more try. Well done. So Jafar's a well-trained dragonfly. Thank you, Jafar. You can take a seat. So as I mentioned, the dragonfly has this superpower of capturing its prey once it identifies it within 50 milliseconds. And scientists have found that 95% of the time the dragonfly captures its prey. It's a very high success rate. Now let's look at one other magnificent creature, the African dung beetle. And to understand this creature's superpower, I'm going to ask Jafar's brother Bakr to come up. Okay, the African dung beetle has a very unusual way of feeding its newborn or helping the eggs that it lays to get their food. And the task that Bakr has is to face this way, face this way. And Bakr is going to use his legs only to push his dung ball in a straight line. Go ahead, Bakr. You have to follow it on. You have to take it all the way to Maulana Faezi. In a straight line. All right, he's struggling. Okay, mashallah, well done. Thank you so much, Bakr. All right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the dung beetle, the dragonfly, with these amazing superpowers. The dung beetle that Bakr just demonstrated has the amazing ability to navigate an exact straight line using the moon and even the Milky Way galaxy. And it does this at nighttime. If our Creator gave these amazing powers and this kind of design and sense of purpose to these insects, then He must definitely have given human beings an even stronger inner design to help achieve our purpose. What is really the biggest question isn't the greatest question that faces us is, what is our purpose? What were we designed for to achieve? In other words, who am I and why am I here? In the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Dhariyat, I created the jinn and humankind only that they might worship me. And the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam guided us by pointing out that he who knows himself knows his Lord. This entire process of getting to know ourself and our Creator, the process of acting on our God-given nature, is what we call character development. The Italian physician Maria Montessori, inspired by a similar vision, thought that education was an aid to life. This brief but powerful phrase means that the role of ourselves as adults is to nurture and to protect the God-given nature of each child. Think back to the dragonfly and to the dung beetle. They were designed to hunt precisely, designed to use dung as a food source. And human beings, we have been designed to learn and to seek the truth about ourselves and about our Lord. I'm pleased now to share a few glimpses of how the teachers and the children work at Unity Academy. And let's first look at how it is that we strive to build the character of the children. The teacher is an absolute role model in every respect. Every thought, word, and deed of the adults has an impact on the children. In this image, you can literally see how Fatima is mirroring her teacher. Secondly, a relationship of love and joy is what connects the adult's heart with the heart of the children. The circle of love that you see not only includes the children, but even our natural environment, seen here as the primary children play in the fallen leaves in autumn of this year. If we accept that Allah bestowed a fitrah that is designed to learn, we must respect the child's attention and concentration. Here, Abdullah is focused on his reading during the uninterrupted work period of 3 hours. An essential element of character building is the physical environment, and it's orderly and well maintained, reflecting the perfection and order of the creation of Allah. The classroom environment is rich with concepts, vocabulary, relationships, and evocative materials. Here, Sister Sabah is using Russian nesting dolls to explain the classification of living things to an upper elementary group of students. In one of our many field trips, Heather can be seen behind a giant balloon. This image reminds us that to nurture a child's character, it must be protected. It's an ongoing struggle for our families and our school and communities to filter out the influences on children, including those from the media and often from the emotions and the behaviors of even their own classmates. One of the most important principles of our deen and of the Montessori approach is freedom of choice and agency. And this freedom is bounded, it's within limits, but it's very important that children choose their own work and that they take initiative to follow their curiosity. So far in these images, we have seen how character is nurtured in indirect and subtle ways. So now let's turn to knowledge about the outer world and the inner world. Our teachers observe every child very closely. They pay attention to the child's interests and their response to their work. They monitor their progress, and then they circle back to fulfill each child's individual needs. Here, Zulfikar and Malika are working with Arabic materials. Do you all notice which child achieved mastery and which child needs a little bit more practice? I'll leave that as an open question. You can think it over. Elementary children have a very particular need. They have a love of collaborative work and also of research. Our teachers observe and assess not only the written work that they produce, but also the attitudes that they have towards work, how they manage their time, and their social interactions. There are really unique moments at school that inspire awe and wonder in the children, and teachers help to build on these moments to help them make bigger connections. Here, Sister Saba is seen helping the children reflect about the circle of life when Crown, the class fish, passed away and had to be buried in our garden. The goal in our school is to inspire lifelong love of learning, and this love is sparked by memorable and fascinating experiences at museums and also within the classroom. Now, if you look closely at these two photos, see if you can identify the vegetable that was being studied. To make knowledge meaningful and impactful, teachers use a variety of senses. These lessons centered on the fall pumpkins, and you can see how they're linking biology, cooking, and the moral lessons of the story of Nabi Yunus. To foster a strong understanding, the Montessori pedagogy leads students gradually from very concrete materials to more and more abstract concepts. The final images in this section relate to the mixed age classroom. Older children, like Asghar, practice leadership, while their younger friends learn new skills and concepts. In this image, Sarah's storytelling has tickled the other girls in this buddy reading group. So far, we've looked at how our teachers nurture character and also how they facilitate the acquisition of knowledge. And in this last series of photos, I'd like to share an area of learning called practical life. Practical life involves a wide range of skills in which students take care of their environment and also build their community. These activities make children independent, and they help them to develop concentration. In the winter, students were fascinated with a 3D printing club in which they designed and printed various objects. One student was inspired to actually buy a printer, or I would say he inspired his parents to buy him a printer, and he designed his own glow-in-the-dark wolf. The culinary club students made delicious sweet and salty dishes, and they always hit the spot after the long school day. Coach Sam from Hot Shot Sports is seen here conducting our soccer practice at the Streamwood Community Center. And finally, in visual arts, students use all different kinds of media as they explore their ideas and their creativity. I'd like to thank you all for your attention, and we're especially grateful to our Parents Auxiliary, to the Board of Directors, to Maulana Faezi, and the numerous donors who have brought us to this point in our journey. And I invite you all to find your place in our proverbial garden. We welcome guest speakers, after-school club facilitators, teaching interns, and even donors. Which flower will you plant? How will you water and nourish the soil? And will you help us to pull out any weeds? If you can contribute in any way to this essential project, please reach out to me, Sister Saba Haider, or the board members. And most importantly, please remember our school and our children in your prayers. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah, Brother Minhaj. A wonderful annual reminder of all of the wonderful work that this team is doing for their continued success, for the children, for the parents, for the teachers, for the entire board. Let us all recite a loud salawat. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, I would now like to recognize our sponsors for tonight's program. For the health, safety, and continued blessings for the family of Khalajan, please join me in reciting a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The family of Khalajan has requested that you remember the marhumin of your families as well as the marhumin of their families. In particular, Muhammad Habibullah, Ahmadi Begum, Mir Zainul Abidin, Mehjabin Begum, Kausar Begum, and Imran Haider. Please join me in reciting one time Surah Fatiha and one time Surah Ikhlas, preceded by a Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah. At this time, I would now like to request Hujjatul Islam. Oh, of course, please. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. MashaAllah, we have a wonderful program. We have heard beautiful recitation of Manqabat. But just to continue the spirit of the Milad, and before we have Maulana Faezi come here and give his address, I will just recite a couple of stanzas in the praise of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Help me with a very loud salawat. یہ میرے گھر میں جو روشن علم حسین کا ہے، یہ میرے گھر میں جو روشن علم حسین کا ہے، زمانہ دیکھ لے دستے کرم حسین کا ہے، یہ درد سینے میں جتنا ہے سب اسی کے لیے، یہ درد سینے میں جتنا ہے سب اسی کے لیے، ہماری آنکھوں میں جتنا ہے غم حسین کا ہے، اور قلم پہ ہونے لگی رحمت خدا بندی، قلم پہ ہونے لگی رحمت خدا بندی، قصیدہ جب سے کیا ایک رقم حسین کا ہے۔ یہ آخری شعر ہے۔ یزیدیت جو کہیں سر چھپائے بیٹھی ہے، یزیدیت جو کہیں سر جھکائے بیٹھی ہے، خدا کا خوف نہیں اس کو ڈر حسین کا ہے، خدا کا خوف نہیں اس کو ڈر حسین کا ہے، یہ میرے گھر میں جو روشن علم حسین کا ہے، زمانہ دیکھ لے دستے کرم حسین کا ہے۔ درود پڑھی محمد والے محمد۔
MashaAllah, Sajjad Bhai. That was a wonderful recitation once again for his Sayyid and Salamti and Khair Barakat. Let's all recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. At this time, I would now like to request Hujjatul Islam, Shaykh Amir Mukhtar Faezi Sahab, to please come forward to address the congregation. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ۔ اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم، بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم، الحمد للہ رب العالمین، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا صلى على محمد وآل محمد أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر صلوات Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, first of all, it's a very special occasion, and I would like to offer my congratulations to all of you, brothers and sisters, here at Baitul Ilm, in this wonderful celebration, and before that to Imam of our age, Imam Zaman Ajjalallah Farajahu Sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Every milad and every wiladat in Ahlul Bayt is very blessed and very mubarak, but this particular milad, the wiladat and tawallud and the milad of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam is very, very special. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This milad is tafsir of Suratul Kawthar. Those who had thought that since the sons of Prophet passed away, then who is going to carry the legacy of Prophet and who will defend and protect the mission of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had revealed the Suratul Kawthar and given the good news to Prophet that your mission will be well protected, and even if your sons have died, I will give you grandsons through your daughter Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha sallallahu Muhammad, who will be your sons, and they will be the one that who will carry the legacy of you and the message of yours, and they will protect my deen and your kalima and everything. And it's not only that Imam Hussain is only that one defender and one protector. There are 9 Imams from the Zurriyat of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. He is a father of 9 Imams, and the 9th one is the Imam and the final Imam and the Imam of the age who will come and who will inshallah make this deen of Allah the deen of the entire world, And he will not only preach the deen, but he will be the one that who will implement this deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Shariat of Muhammad Mustafa and these dreams and the messages of his grandfather Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. While every son and every grandson was very close to the heart of Prophet, and as a grandfather, as the head of this family, he was proud of each and every one of them. But then he had some special sayings and some special statements which he had made about Imam Hussain. And some of those sayings are very familiar to you, and you know by heart. One of those very famous one is Husainun minni wa ana min al-Husain. Hussain is from me and I am from Hussain. It's very easy to understand Husainun minni. But my brothers and sisters, very few people have understood that how Prophet Muhammad as a grandfather and as a prophet, how he is from Hussain. Because every grandchild, every grandson is from the grandfather. So it's not a big deal when Prophet says Husainun minni. But the real merit and the fadilat of Imam Hussain is when Prophet says wa ana min Hussain. That explains the person and the personality of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. There is another saying, very famous saying of Prophet, where he says, Innal Husayna misbahul huda wa safinatun najat. Indeed, Hussain is misbah, is light, is light for guidance. This candle or chandelier or shama or any that tool or mean which is used to have the light, that is called misbah. So Prophet says, Innal Hussain misbahul huda. And then he says, wa safinatun najat. And he is the ark for salvation. You look at the personality of Imam Hussain, the comprehensiveness. The entire humanity needs actually two things at the most. There are two things which are needed at the most by entire humanity. One in this dunya and one in the next dunya. The thing which you need in this dunya more than anything else, that is what you ask in Surah Al-Fatiha every time when you recite Surah Al-Fatiha. There is only one line, one dua in Surah Al-Fatiha. And what dua you ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when you recite Surah Al-Fatiha? Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Give me hidayat. We all beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We all request Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for hidayat. And Prophet says, Innal Husayna misbahul huda. Hussain is misbah and the light which leads you to the hidayat. If you are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for hidayat, follow the footsteps of Hussain. Come under the alam of Hussain. Come in the camp of Hussain. The camp of Hussain is the camp of hidayat. And then if you are concerned about your salvation in the next dunya and you are looking for najat, because that is the biggest concern for any rational person, that at the day of judgment we want salvation. And Prophet says, Innal Husayna misbahul huda wa safinatun najat. If you want to earn najat and salvation, come and ride with Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam at his ark and be one of those that who are following the path of Imam Hussain, the message of Imam Hussain, the teachings of Imam Hussain, and those who are associating themselves with the mission of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, you will get the best of dunya and the best of akhirat from one place, from one door, and that is the door of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. So my brothers and sisters, that is a very comprehensive description of the person of Imam Hussain. The best of dunya and the best of akhirat. You will find in the footsteps of Imam Hussain, in the teachings of Imam Hussain, in the message of Imam Hussain, in the mission of Imam Hussain, in the movement of Imam Hussain. My brothers and sisters, Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam, recite salawat. Is the most remembered person in Ahlul Bayt after the Prophet. If you look around and get some or take some consensus, who is being remembered more than anybody else by Muslims around the world? So, of course, there is adhan, there is iqamat, there is kalima, and there is so much where we take the name of Prophet. And we remember the Prophet, and we are supposed to remember him because after all, he is the head of family. He is Gole Sar Sabad. So, he is the one that who is being remembered more than anybody else, and who is being praised more than anybody else, and who is being given the credit for his services, for his teachings, for his sacrifices more than anybody else. But then if you want to see who is being remembered after the Prophet more than anybody else, whose sacrifices are being remembered more than anybody else at daily basis in entire world, that person is Imam Hussain. Majlis-e-Aza of Imam Hussain, Dhikr of Imam Hussain, Ziyarat of Imam Hussain. You know that we say Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh in tashahhud, in salat, and that's why most of us normally when we stand up for ziyarat, rarely you will find people like me who will start ziyarat with Assalamu alayka ya Nabi Allah. I don't know if you are that good observer, you observe that or not. But most of the time you will see people standing up and start just from Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah, and which is fine because we just said salatu salam to the Prophet in our tashahhud very formally. But ziyarat of Imam Hussain is being recited every time, not only after every prayer, but at every Eid. Ziyarat-e-Waris on every Shab-e-Jum'ah. Ziyarat of Imam Hussain almost on any major date in our calendar, in month of Rajab, in month of Sha'ban, in the month of Ramadan, at those days of Eid, in Muharram, in Safar, in all those big days, big nights, there is one amal which is very special, and that is ziyarat of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. His majalis during the entire month of Muharram, entire month of Safar, even a portion of Rabiul Awwal, and then whenever somebody passes in our families, we have a majlis at Soim, we have a majlis at Arba'in, we have a majlis as a Barsi. And whenever something happens, so these are all majalis of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. So I'm just giving you a few examples. So nobody is being remembered and being praised and is given that much praise and that much credit as Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam is someone that even when we see among Ahlul Bayt were also leading everyone to the qabr of Imam Hussain. The Prophet was used to remind people the special position of Imam Hussain. Then Janab Sayyida Amirul Mu'mineen Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, and then from Imam Zainul Abidin to until Imam Hassan al-Askari, and in Ziyarat Nahiya, the 12th Imam, everyone is leading us to the Ha'ir, to Karbala, to the grave of Imam Hussain, and reminding us that everyone is proud of Imam Hussain, and whatever you have, it is because of his stand and his sacrifice. And that is the central position in Ahlul Bayt, and that is the position of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. It doesn't mean the issue of meaning, yes, Amirul Mu'mineen, Imam Hassan and all Imams, we believe in all of them and we remember all of them, we love all of them. But it looks like, it seems that they want us to have a special category for Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain is a different class. Imam Hussain is a different kind of person and has a different kind of personality, which is the essence, basically, the manifestation of 124,000 Anbiya and their missions, and then the essence of all Imams and their imamat, and that is why his laqab is Assalamu alayka ya warisa Adama safwatillah. Waris of Anbiya, while every Imam is waris of Anbiya. But this ziyarat warisa, which we recite, and this ziyarat warisa is not poetry. It is not written or taught by one of our poets. This ziyarat warisa is taught by Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. Yeah. Imam Sadiq is the one who taught the ziyarat waris. And he is introducing this person that Hussain is waris Adam. Hussain is waris Nuh. Hussain is waris Ibrahim. Hussain is waris of Musa. Hussain is waris of Isa. Hussain is waris of Muhammad Mustafa. And Hussain is waris Amirul Mu'mineen. Hussain is waris of Hassan al-Mujtaba. And this is how Imam Sadiq is teaching us that when you address Imam Hussain, address him like this. So that is good enough, my brothers and sisters, for us to recognize that special person and personality, and why of Imam Hussain, and why there is so much emphasis of remembering Imam Hussain and going for his ziyarat in Karbala. And if we cannot go to visit him personally in Karbala, then just saying salam to him and reciting ziyarat wherever we are. So this is why. It is because of reasons. It is because of his stand and his sacrifice. It is because of his inspirational message and inspirational story, and it is because of the pain what he had taken, the sacrifices which he had given. My brothers and sisters, this is a jashan and celebration, and I'm not here to recite masaib, but you can't help yourself when you talk about Imam Hussain and don't think about Karbala. You cannot. So, Imam Hussain has taken all that, which if you look at others, they have taken a portion of that, something of that. But everything, if Masaib of you look at Imam Hussain, he has taken every musibat and every pain and every challenge, and he had taken it head on, knowingly, with knowledge that what is going to happen. And he is a man that you can call him the strongest man in the world, because a time came when he was standing alone and there were 30,000 people standing in front of him who were equipped up to their nails, and he is hungry and thirsty and doesn't have anything, and nobody is standing with him, and now his enemies were hoping this is the time when he has lost everyone and he has nobody. Now he is going to come on his knees. Now he is going to surrender. Now he is going to give the bay'at. Now he is going to beg for aman. And Shaykh Mutahari was used to say that if you know the details of his sacrifice on the day of Ashura, after every shahadat of every shaheed, he had more nuraniyat, more nur and more light on his face. Instead of going down, he was going high and he was rising. And when he lost everyone, even that little child on his hands, he was at highest place, as if he is just sitting on the fourth sky. And he was in a state, after giving all those sacrifices, that Quran calls to Imam Hussain, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna. When Allah calls someone as nafse mutma'inna, irji'i ila rabbike radiyatan mardiyah, we get itminan when we achieve something, when we receive something, when we gain something. When we gain everything, then we get itminan. And Hussein gets that itminan when he gave up everything. He gave up everything. And after giving everything, still he is at the highest level of itminan. Shamir is in rush. Omar Saad is in rush. Those soldiers are in rush. But someone who is not in rush, that is Hussein ibn Ali. Even when his killer comes to him and his hands are he knows what he is doing. And Imam, even at that time, tries to guide him, tries to teach him, tries to enlighten him, tries to remind him hadith of his grandfather. And Imam continued his mission and his legacy and his work even until the last minute, and even to a man like Shimr. Never lost hope, never felt restless, never felt down, but he is standing as a strong man. Who can be stronger than Hussein ibn Ali? Who can be stronger than Hussein ibn Ali? One man, one person who stood on his word, on his stand, the stand which he had taken in Medina In Medina, the situation was different. When he went in Makkah, circumstances changed, but his stand didn't change. When he left Makkah, situation changed, but his stand didn't. When he came across with Hur, and Hur almost technically had taken him and his companions almost in custody, in other words. Ghire mein le liya, muhasre mein le liya. He was surrounded by Hur and his army and then taken to the place which is called Karbala. Circumstances changed. He heard Muslim is gone. Kufa has fallen. But someone who is not fallen, that is Hussein ibn Ali and his alam. Kufa is gone. Muslim bin Aqil is gone. All the promises are gone. All the hopes are gone. But Hussein is still standing. Hussein is on his word. Hussein is on his mission. Hussein has the same commitment. And he continues not only until the Shab-e Ashur, but even until the Zuhr of Ashur, Asr of Ashur, and then finally until he goes in Sajda. That is a person which we know of Hussein. A man that who never changed, who never turned back, who was so strong, who was so committed, who was so determined. That should be part of the poetry. When our poets talk about Imam Hussain, these are the lines which they need to talk about. When they talk about the Imam Hussain, they should talk about the courage and character of Imam Hussain. And they should praise Imam Hussain that how strong he was, how shaja he was, how sabir he was, how mutma'in he was, how much inspirational he was. My brothers and sisters, there have been scholars, thinkers and scholars, and they have made this point that, ay kash, we who cry for him, ay kash, we had understood that who is Hussein. We who chant the slogans of Imam Ali, ay kash, we would have understood that who is Ali. There is a great need for Ali Shanasi. There is a great need for Hussein Shanasi. There is a great need for Imam Shanasi. There is a great need for Abbas Shanasi. Only few lines from here and there, which normally our poets and our speakers, they keep repeating. May Allah bless them and give them sawab. They are doing fikre harkas baqadre himmate oost. So whatever they are able of, whatever they can do, so they are trying their best. But I have spoken about it in past, my brothers and sisters. We need new poets, we need new poetry, we need poets that who can give us the message of our Imams, the message of Ahlul Bayt, the character of Ahlul Bayt, the humanity of Ahlul Bayt, the generosity of Ahlul Bayt, the patience of Ahlul Bayt, the strength of Ahlul Bayt. I remember when we were in Iran, they had started certain classes, certain courses, certain conferences, certain seminars to talk about the real personalities of Masumeen and their message. You know, it is a pain that we who claim that we are imamis and we believe in imams, and we remember them all around the year, and we have hundreds of programs and majalis and gatherings in the names of our imams, but still we don't know those imams. We don't know those imams. We don't have any authentic understanding of those imams. First of all, it is because of the censorships of Banu Umayyah and Banu Abbas, and even those who came after them, that they didn't really allow the writers, the authors, the historians to write all the facts and all the details about the lives of our imams. Our imams lived in times when there was severe censorship. In one of the previous addresses and speeches, I had mentioned, particularly about Imam Hussain, that if you want to go and find how much material you have on Imam Hussain, yes, we have so much poetry on him. Even Mir Anis is this thick. Mir Dabir, Naseem Amrovi, and then there are so many great poets in India and Pakistan, and then so many poets in Iran, and so many poets in Iraq and Lebanon and in other parts of the world. So we have so much poetry on Imam Hussain, which was created in different times. We have qasidas, we have Manqabat, we have Rubai, we have Musaddas. But how much history, how much hadith, how much sayings of Imam Hussain, how much authentic information on Imam Hussain we have? Unfortunately, not much. I am student of these fields, spent my life in learning and teaching and studying and collecting books and works. Even those thick books, just don't, nobody should fool you later on that, oh, Maulana Faezi has a habit of keep crying and keep criticizing. And see, these thick books are sitting, a shelf is full on books of Imam Hussain. The first 50 pages are about the history of Arab. Next 100 pages are about his grandfather. The next 100, 200 pages are about his father and mother. And then the next 200 pages are about Abu Sufyan and Muawiyah and Yazid and Ziyad and Ibn Ziyad and all that. And then comes the story of Karbala. So this is a thick book, but how much material do we have in that thick book about Imam Hussain? You understand what I'm trying to say? We don't have. Because of variety of reasons. One reason was censorship. Blackout. He lived in 10 years in the time of Muawiyah. First, those 3 khilafats, they were not allowing people to go to Imam Hassan or Imam Hussain. And then it was the culture also. Farsi in Iranians, they will understand this term better than you folks. They say someone is tahta sha'a of something. Can you quickly tell me? Under dominance or under limelight or something like that, meaning when it is Imam Ali around, so Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain are tahta sha'a. You know, the whole light, the all cameras, the all attention, everyone is going to Imam Ali. So Imam Hassan and Hussain, first of all, they were not being given that due attention because Imam Ali is around. And then it was culture also, and that even if there was opportunity for Imam Hassan or Hussein in the adab of their father, they would keep quiet. And when question was asked, they would not jump to answer. They would wait until their father, Amirul Mu'mineen, should speak and he should answer it. It was not our time that father is sitting quiet and son is jumping. And son is trying to lead and show how much he knows. But that was not the culture. That was not the adab. When the older brother, as long as Imam Hassan is around, Imam Hussain is quiet. For 10 years. Hardly you will find anything from Imam Hussain. Because Imam Hassan, his Imam, his leader, his older brother is around. So these are some of the reasons that we don't have much. And then what we have is all the stories. I don't want to, आपके मैं रंग में भंग नहीं डालना चाहता. You have listened some stories and some lines that if I start making corrections and if I start telling you that how much is authentic and how much is man-made, तो आप कहेंगे कि हम तो आए थे सेलिब्रेट करने के लिए, मौलाना फायजी ने कौन सा पंडारी खोल दी. So, the point is, my brothers and sisters, since we don't know the real Hussein, we are not Hussein Shanas, we are not Ali Shanas, and it's not only that today we are not. If you know the history of Shia community, Shias were never on one page when it comes to imamat. No other Islamic sect has that many fractions and divisions as the Shias have. After shahadat of every imam, you would get divided into fractions. Why would you get divided into fractions if you were Imam Shanas? Why you would get misled by people who were not Imam and you would go after them? The reason why you would not stick with the right Imam and the real Imam and leave the Imam of the age and go to 2 or 3 people who were not entitled to imamat, and you would go after them and you would get divided. What was the reason? Because this concept of imamat was still not understood properly. Imams were not allowed to come out and introduce themselves. Every imam was in taqiyya. Imams lived in the times of taqiyya. Imams didn't have this luxury or this liberty to go out and mingle with the community from east to west in the entire Muslim world or wherever their Shias were. Our Imams mainly stayed at one place. If they were given the choice, they always lived in Medina. But when they couldn't stay in Medina, Imam Ali left Medina and came in Kufa. Other Imams, they preferred to live in Medina, but then by force they were taken to certain other places. But only that place where they were taken. We don't see that our Imams were on tour like today's Maulanas are on tour and teaching and tabligh, doing tabligh everywhere around the world and being the guest of every community. Your Imams were not like that. Why they were not like that? Because this was a time of taqiyya, they were not allowed to freely travel. They were, in a very diplomatic way, they were kept as house arrests, under the surveillance of those governments. So Imams didn't have this luxury to go to different cities, to different places, to directly interact with their Shias, then hold open classes and teach them and talk to them and correct them. It was very difficult for Shias to even go and reach and meet their Imam. And sometime Imam would take them, have them, and sometime Imam would say, it is not safe for me or it is not safe for you. Just go back. Or Imams were not able to answer all of their questions because of taqiyya. So, for a variety of reasons, what happened that even those who call themselves Imami or Imamiya, they didn't understand what is Imamat and who is Imam. Now, I will give you one example and then we just conclude this. I think you have heard enough poetry in the beginning to celebrate, and the first some portion of my speech was also about some fadail, but of course I have different duty and different responsibility. Imamat and Vilayat, sometimes they are used as mutaradif, two words giving the same meaning. We say Aliyun Waliullah also, and we believe that Ahlul Bayt have Vilayat and they have Imamat. No. What does mean? What is the definition of Imam? What is the position of Imam? Because today we are celebrating the Wiladat of two Imams. So we need to know what is Imamat and what is the office of Imamat and what is the position of Imam. Only knowing a few stories and few lines is not going to help us. So, this position of Imamat and Vilayat was under debate not only between Shias and Sunnis, it was under debate among the Shias themselves. There were Shias who would consider Imams afdal than Anbiya, and even there were some who thought that Jibreel made a mistake. It's written in books. It's not that something that only Sunnis accuse us. There were some Shias at some point that who believed that it was a terrible mistake which Jibreel made. And he, as sometime, FedEx brings our package and delivers at a wrong address. And it is my package and it is delivered to my neighbor. And my neighbor brings it to me and says, sir, this was the package and it was delivered at my address. So there were Shias who believed that actually Allah had sent Jibreel to bring this message to Amirul Mu'mineen. But mistakenly, Jibreel delivered the message at the wrong address. These were also Shias. We are, alhamdulillah, not those Shias. Don't feel bad about that. But meaning we cannot delete the history. We need to understand that these things were there. Now, there were Shias who were known as Ghalis, who were used to exaggerate in the ranks of Imams and Imamat. And they were a big pain for Ahlul Bayt. Our A'immas suffered at their hands. They were doing the bad publicity of the Shia faith outside in masses. When they would go out and they would talk about Ahlul Bayt, and when they would talk about Imams, they would talk in a way that it was, first of all, off the line, exaggerations, and the blame would come to Ahlul Bayt. People would think Ahlul Bayt are teaching them this. These are the claims of Ahlul Bayt. Ahlul Bayt never made those claims. Matter of fact, it is written in our books. Our Imams cursed those Shias. Our Imams disowned those Shias. Our Imam said, these so-called Shias have nothing to do with us. If they are reciting our Fazail and our Masaib and they are just eating because of us and making money and getting pride in the people in our name, they have nothing to do with us. We have tons of those riwayat in our books where Aimma disowned them. So these were the called Ghali or Ghulat. Then there were also Shias who were known as Muqassir, which today you call them Wahhabi, that they also had not understood the imamat or vilayat properly. They would also bring imams and Ahlul Bayt down. They were under the influence of those people around them, those Sunnis and Wahhabis or those kind of people. So almost it was difficult to find two Shias that who have the same degree of their Aqidah about imamat. Everyone has something in his own mind and his own version of imamat or his own version of understanding. And this is why how Shias were always fighting with one another, calling names for one another, and making new fractions and breaking away from the brothers or from the local mosque or the local leader just because of their faith about imamat. Meaning what? One of the phenomena of our time, imam पैदा होते हैं या imam नाजिल होते हैं. You know that. This is a big debate, a big discussion in India and Pakistan. They will not say Viladat Imam, for example, Hussein. They will say Zuhur Imam Hussein. Nuzul Imam Hussein. No, there are Shias who will say, no, you call Maulud Kaaba. Maulud is someone that who got Viladat. So, Quran has ayat, there are ahadith, and then we always believe that imams were born as Anbiya were born. And there is nothing wrong in getting birth or being born. What is wrong with that? They say, no. It's an insult for Ahlul Bayt. And there are hundreds of these clips on the YouTube. You know that what I'm talking about. If you are following these people and if you are following these things, they will say that, no. You cannot say that Imam ki viladat hoti hai. Imam aate hain, nazil hote hain. And it's just, I'm giving you one example of your own time. And others are saying that no, they get birth, and this is the date of birth of this Imam, and this is the date of Shahadat of this Imam. So they had so many disagreements with one another about Imam, about the knowledge of Imam. How much knowledge Imam has, how much he knows, and from where does he get his knowledge. This is another big controversy. And then so forth and so on. You cannot, meaning there are hundreds of things. So Shias were always quarreling, disputing, arguing with one another on these sort of issues. Until I'm bringing it to end, leaving you with some food for thought. Shias divided in two groups. Ghalis, Ghulat, exaggerators, and those Muqassirs, both extremes. And a few mainstream Shias who had balanced view about Imam and Imamat. Then what happens? A big change took place in 6th century of Hijrah. 6th Hijri century, when this Sufism came to meet the Shia faith and entered in the Shi'i community. And Shias also started getting the influence of the big Sufis and making friendship with them. And now we got Shias that who are Shia and also Sufi. And this happened more in the Safavi government because they themselves were Sufi. The Safawis, their background, their whole base is Sufism. They were Pir Fakir people. They had so many murid and they had their shrines. And then finally what they did, they grabbed the power and they took the government of Iran, Persia, Safavi family, but they became Shias, so they are Sufi and they are Shia. Later on, when they felt that this word Sufi and Tasawwuf is not liked or not popular in the Shi'i community, and matter of fact, we have hadiths from Ahlul Bayt, many hadiths against Sufis. They changed their name. They said, no, we don't follow Tasawwuf, we follow Irfan. We are Arif, we are not Sufi. While if you go and examine their main beliefs and their main teachers and mentors and their leaders, those are the same. It is Muhyiddin ibn Arabi and so many other people that who are known as great Sufis, they are the great masters of these so-called Urafa. And they are the people, they said that Tasawwuf will not work, so we will use the word Irfan. If it is Sunni, he is Sufi. If it is Shia, he is Arif. Then, I want to show you the contrast. There is a reason I am putting so much effort in it. What happened in 6th century and 7th century, these Sufis influenced the Shia thought so much so that now the Imam and the true Wali of Allah and Hujjat Khuda was now changed and introduced as they have Qutb and Abdal and they have Ghaus and they have Wali among the Sunnis. So Imam is also now being understood by masses and praised as one of those awliya of the Sufiya. What does mean? If I want to make it more open, Wali doesn't have to do anything with dunya. Sufi is retired from dunya. Sufi has nothing to do with government. Sufi has nothing to do with politics. Sufi has nothing to really worry about anything about dunya thing. Retire from dunya, tarikud dunya, totally zahid, rahib. Now what happened in the Safavi time, when they start writing the stories of Imams, instead of talking about the knowledge of Imam, the struggles of Imam, now they are only talking about karamat of Imams. All of a sudden, go and this is, I'm not saying from my own. Theses have been written, books have been written by scholars in Qom who did critique of that. They say all of a sudden Imams didn't remain the same Imams. Ali is not man of struggle anymore. Ali is only Abid and only Zahid and only Wali and only a man that who does mu'jizat and karamat and gives rizq and gives awlad and does nothing else. Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain, the struggle of Imam Hussain, the message of Imam Hussain, the legacy of Imam Hussain, the mission of Imam Hussain, nothing. Only those karamat, kahaniyan, kisse, stories. Normally they have Data Ganj Bakhsh, Ghaus Bakhsh, wo kya hai wo, Ghaus Pak, Shah Shams Tabriz. And you know those Shibli and those Junaid Baghdadi and whatever. If you compare the biographies written about Imams in this period of time, it is on the same pattern as it is Junaid Baghdadi, as it is Shibli, as it is one of those Sufiya. So finally they made the mind of people that our Imams are only Wali of Allah.
And you know, Wali of Allah meaning with their definition of Wali of Allah. Wali of Allah, they are Wali of Allah means they are only Abid, they are only Zahid, they are only people of Khanqah, they are only people that who are worried about Akhirat, they are wearing Suf, and they have nothing to do with dunya, they have nothing to do with politics, they have nothing to do with government, they have nothing to do with anything. They are retired from this. And this is the biggest fazilat for Ahlul Bayt. Then what happens? In Iran, now this is where I wanted to bring. A controversy starts. And a scholar writes a book about Imam Hussain. I request you to sometime go and read this book. The book is Shaheed Javeed. In our Pakistani Indian pronunciation, we will say Shaheed Javed. We will say Javed. But Iranians will say Javeed. It was Shaheed Javeed. It created a tufan in Iran. Even among the Hozas, among highly learned scholars and the masses, because it portrays Imam Hussain, a man that who has interest in politics and he has interest in government, and he is coming to take the Kufa and then take the Iraq and establish his government. And portrays that Imam had, why Imam left Medina, why Imam came to Makkah, why Imam was coming to Iraq, and letters and invitations and all that. So he portrays that Imam alayhi salatu wasalam had a plan. And this is how he left Medina and he came to Makkah and then he came to Iraq. But things didn't work, people didn't support, and Imam alayhi salatu wasalam was not successful, for example, in achieving that mission, but he was able to achieve the other mission, and that was the Shahadat. They said, no, this is insult of Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain is not man of politics. Imam Hussain is not a man that who is going to seek the government or who will have these kind of activities. It is insult of Imam Hussain. Now, someone that who later became one of Maraje Taqleed, he responded this book by writing a book by the name of Shaheed Agha. Shaheed Agha. And then a series of books were written from both sides. This was a big debate 5 years or 10 years before Islamic Revolution. Shaheed Mutahari and Ayatollah Mishkini and some of these senior scholars, they had written the forward notes on this book Shaheed Javeed, and they were also under attack. They got saved because of Islamic Revolution later. Otherwise, these people had taken them. Now, there are two narrations about Imam and Imamat. Two narratives. One narrative is, Imam is a very pak, pavitr, pure, pious person. He is supposed to be in cave, or he is supposed to be in his basement. He is supposed to be in shrine. He is supposed to be among the people that who have no interest with dunya, no interest with government, no interest with correcting the society, improving the society, fighting the evil, fighting the tyrant governments. No, none of those. Those are all dirty things. Politics are dirty. Politics are impure. Bad thing. Ahlul Bayt are pak and pavitr. They have nothing to do with that. The other narrative is that Prophet was the biggest politician of his time. Prophet was, while he was Prophet, he had the other hat was a hat of politician and community leader. He established government.
He was head of state. And then, what is the fuss with Sunnis if Imam Ali was not given the government? And if Imam Ali was not given the office? And Imam Ali, nobody stopped from Imam Ali from reciting Dua Kumail or going and doing his ibadat in a cave. Our fuss with the Sunnis is that they deprived Imam Ali from khilafat, from government, from politics, from position, from iqtidar. That was our fuss. So, no, that is how their narrating was that Imam Hussain did the right thing. Yes, Imam Hussain was not only after government. Ayatollah Khamenei has explained it better than anybody else, where he says, yes, government was, and taking Kufa or government and everything, that was also part of the agenda, but that was not the only agenda. Imam Hussain had a duty and a responsibility to resist against tyrant ruler, to raise the voice and represent his father and true Islam, and do Amr bil Maruf and Nahi anil Munkar. And he was succeeded in this one. Now, where it will end? The conclusion, this is the two narratives. What is the result? One party is saying what Imam Hussain did, it is not a role model for us. Don't bring the story of Imam Hussain, the struggle of Imam Hussain as a role model to us, and then ask us, as he challenged the government, we will also challenge the government. Imam Hussain was not into establishing the government. So there is, when Imam Khomeini started the movement, they said, no. This is totally politics. It has nothing to do with deen. What was the example? They are bringing Imam Hussain as role model. They are bringing also Imam Hussain role model. Now Imam Hussain is in between, two interpretations of one person, one Imam. Both parties are Shias. Both are writing books, writing thesis, bringing the example. So one party is saying Imam Hussain is our role model. Imam Ali is our role model. And the later Imams are also our role model because they didn't quit the movement. They were in taqiyya, they did whatever they could do. But everyone got shaheed because of their movement. And they never quit. But the other party was saying, no, Imam Hussain is not a role model. Imam Hussein's story is totally different. That Imam Hussain had a promise with Allah. He only came in Karbala to fulfill his promise. His grandfather had made a promise of Shahadat Uzma, and Imam Hussain came only to get Shaheed. Imam Hussain came in Karbala only to get the Shahadat, the Rutbah Shahadat. But Imam Hussain didn't have anything else. So when this movement started in Iran, so the people who were part of movement for revolution, they were used to chant, Hussain, Hussain, Shiar-e Mast, Shahadat, Iftikhar-e Mast. They were bringing Imam Hussain as role model, and they say, as Hussain struggled, we are going to follow the footsteps of Imam Hussain, and if he gave his Akbar, we will give our Akbar. Yes, my Akbar is not like his Akbar, but this is all what I can do. Hussain gave his Qasim, I will give my Qasim. Hussain gave his Asghar, I will give my Asghar. Hussain have gone through all this, I will go through all this. So Hussain is my role model, and I am going to follow Imam Hussain and his footsteps. So this is one side. The other side is saying, no. It is killing yourself. It is doing something which is not right. Imam Hussain didn't teach. Imam Hussain is not uswa for you. What Imam Hussain did, it was only Imam Hussain was supposed to do. Nobody else other than Imam Hussain was supposed to do this. And then they would bring the example, Imam Sajjad didn't do that. Imam Muhammad Baqir didn't do that. Imam Sadiq didn't do that. Imam Reza didn't do that. Only Imam Hussain did. And Imam Hussain did because of that promise. So Imam Hussain is not a role model or a reference here. You are understanding and following what I am trying to say? To contrast both Shias in our own times, only 50 years ago, 55 years ago, books are being written, debates are being done, people are fighting, calling names. One party is saying, we look at Imam as Hujjat Khuda, representative of Allah, Waris of Rasul, Waris of Anbiya, Imam in every area of life, and Imam that who is supposed to be the leader of this entire society in each and every aspect. If our Imams were deprived, it was because of the tyrants. It was because society didn't stand up with Imams. It is because society didn't support Imam. If society would support our Imams, our Imam would be ruling. Our Imam would be leading. Our Imam would be the leaders in Deen and Dunya both. But if these Imams didn't stand up, it is because society was not ready to support them. But Imam Khomeini said, I realize that in our time, in our day, in our age in Iran, we can do it. People are ready. And we just need to stand up and claim and stand in the name of Imam Hussain, stand in the name of Imam Ali and do the job. And he stood up, and people, first there was debate and all this fuss, but finally masses joined him, and they gave these slogans, Hussain, Hussain, Shiar-e Mast, Shahadat Iftikhar-e Mast, and they come and they stood behind him, and they proved that what Imam Khomeini was seeing, that was right. Imam Khomeini had realized that in our day, in our society, we can do it. And he did it. But those who were the follower of other thought and other narrative, they said he is a politician, he has hunger of power, he is a worldly man, he wants to rule, and what he is doing is wrong. And as there were people who were saying this in Iran, we confronted those people in Pakistan. I was student leader at that time in Pakistan, in Hauzas, and these popular speakers, those your popular Zakireen, and these people that who were the star speakers in Pakistan, all of them were against Imam Khomeini at that time, and they were leading the masses, the Shi'i masses, and they were saying, oh, in Pakistan there was a movement of Qawmi Ittihad, and Mufti Mahmud was ruling. They were used to call Imam Khomeini the Mufti Mahmud of Iran. They say, as we have this fitna Mufti Mahmud here in Pakistan, and he is leading the Qawmi Ittihad, Imam Khomeini is doing the same thing in Iran, and both of them are, these both mullahs, those religious clerics, they are in politics and they are corrupting the deen and they are doing the disservice to Islam. While about Mufti Mahmud, we agreed with them. Mufti Mahmud was a corrupt man and he had no case. But when about Imam Khomeini was the waris of Imam Hussain in his time, in his country, and he was doing exactly what Imam Hussain wanted him to do, and he proved himself that if people stand up with you, you can do it. And if some of our Imams were not able to stand up or do that, it is not that Imams didn't have the claim, it is because they were not supported by their Shias. Recite a salawat. So the conclusion, my brothers and sisters, is please spend some time and try to understand Imamat. Try to understand your Imams. Try to understand your true faith. Try to understand your heritage and legacies of Imams. We should follow our Imams and their legacy, by knowing them, by understanding them. We love our Imams, but unfortunately most of us, we don't have any proper understanding of our Imams. I think if I was able to at least convey this message, maybe in a poor way, in a humble way, 10% of that to you, I think Imam Hussain is very happy, inshallah, tonight. And Imam Zainul Abidin and Hadrat Abbas, that if we Shias in our time, if we can really invest some time to understand the office of Imamat and the mission of our Imams, and then if we can connect ourselves with that mission and that legacy of our Imams. With this dua, I ask you to please recite for the sehat, salamti and khair barakat of our sponsors, a loud salawat. For their marhumeen and your own marhumeen, kindly recite Surah Mubarakah Fatiha and Surah Ikhlas masbukatan bis salawat. Assalamu alayka ya Nabi Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Habib Allah. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alayka mawla ya Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Assalamu alayka wa ala jaddika wa abik. Assalamu alayka wa ala ummika wa akhik. السلام عليك وعلى جميع أعوانك وأنصارك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك مولاي يا أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا. كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء. السلام عليك وعلى آبائك السبعة وعلى أبنائك الأربعة. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك مولاي يا صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.